Yo, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of Between the Numbers Sports Podcast and Show. I'm your host, Daryl, and on this episode, we're gonna be talking about NIL. So I'm gonna shut my mouth and I'm just gonna go ahead and play this video for y'all. Some of y'all probably seen it, some of y'all probably haven't seen it, but I'm gonna let y'all see it.
More college athletics news as former Alabama head football coach Nick Saban took part in a roundtable discussion along with Alabama AD Greg Byrne and ACC Commissioner James Phillips on Capitol Hill on Tuesday discussing the future of college athletics. The discussion, where some senators participated, focused on NIL deals, the transfer portal, and how football has changed. Here's Saban.
All the things that I believed in for all these years, 50 years of coaching, no longer exist in college athletics. So it's always was about developing players. It was always about helping people be more successful in life. My wife even said to me, we'd have all the recruits over on Sunday with their parents for breakfast, and she would always meet with the mothers and talk about how she was going to help and impact their sons and how they would be well taken care of. And she came to me, like right before I retired and said, why are we doing this? And I said, what do you mean? She said, all they care about is how much you're going to pay them. They don't care about how you're going to develop them, which is all what we've always done. So why are we doing this? So, to me, that was sort of a red alert that we really are creating a circumstance here that is not beneficial to the development of young people. As I said before, name, image, and likeness is a great opportunity for them to create a brand for themselves. I'm not against that at all. But to come up with some kind of a system that still can help the development of young people, I think, is paramount to the future of college athletics.
Naturally, the reaction to Saban's comments on social media was measured.
Now that was Nick Saban, maybe the all-time greatest college football head coach of all times. I'm gonna say, to me personally, he is the all-time greatest head coach of all times, right? And name, image, and likeness made the greatest coach of all times quit, right? I always thought it was gonna be UGA or some up and coming coach that was just, you know, beating Nick Saban every year, whether it was in the SEC championship or in a bowl game or the national championship or something, right? I always thought it was going to be this a better coach, right? Out coaching the GOAT. But nope. NIL made the GOAT quit. Now, NIL name, image, and likeness was made to benefit the players. And for the most part, it does, right? These colleges, there's no sugarcoating it. These colleges in the past and still make a lot of money off players, right? Ticket sales, merchandise, all of that stuff, right? They make a lot of money off these players. But when I with NIL allows a lot of the players to make money off their name, image, and likeness, right? They get to build the brand and all of that good stuff, right? So it's really good. They get money. They can take care of their families. Some of these guys got kids. Some of these guys have wives and stuff like that, so they can take care of their families. But there's also nightmares, right? So just give it a look, right? Just give it just Google, just do a Google search, right? There was an article, and it was talking about how um, they was talking about these NIL nightmares, right? So it was this one, I think she's a gymnast from I want to say University of Kentucky or Florida. Maybe I'm wrong, but she was definitely a gymnast, and she finished pretty high in a competition. And soon as she finished high, like I think she finished like second place overall, and she instantly got some inboxes about some companies that wanted her to model for them, right? And so she always had wanted to be a model, and so she exchanged a few emails with them, about 15 emails, and then they said, "Hey, we're going to send you this check, and we need you to pay for the place where you're going to do the shoot and all of this stuff right at in Florida." Well, she reserved the place, right? And it was, I guess it was like, hey, you just pay for it after you're done. So she did the shoot and all that stuff. And then when they sent her the check, I think it was like 3 grand or something like that to pay for the the facility. The check instantly bounced. It was a bad check, right? And so now she had to come out of pocket and pay for this facility, right? There's other coincidence to where players are college athletes and players uh signing over pretty well are joining in on these what they call never ending deals, right? So they sign these contracts and they don't read the fine print, or sometimes they don't even know when the deal ends or who owns their rights or whatever, right? And there's been some other recruits who've literally signed away all of their rights, right? They've signed away all of their rights. Some recruits have signed over large percentages of their future earnings, right? So like 40% of their future earnings, 20% of their future earnings, right? And this is all future earnings, right? So say you're a recruit, right, for LSU or something, and a business approach you or agency approach you and say, hey, we want to work with you. And they say, we're going to give you I don't know, let's just use small numbers, 100,000 up front, right? You just have to pay us back over time with all future earnings. And they'll be like, well, it's going to be 20% or 40% of future earnings, right? So that's college, and that's whether or not you go to the NFL, to the NBA, the Olympics or whatever, right? Well, what if you don't even get to the NFL? What if you have a career-ending injury in college and you don't get to the NFL? Now you're stuck with this contract that's saying that they still need to receive 20% or 40% of all future earnings. That's terrible. That's absolutely terrible. And why would you want to do that, right? Even if you go to the NFL and you get you drafted in the first round, 40% of your earnings, 20% of your earnings of all future earnings, that's a lot of money, man. That's a lot of money. Um, and so um also with NIL, um colleges are not allowed to scrutinize contracts. They're not allowed to scrutinize contracts. If you don't believe me, you can go read you can go Google yourself. Colleges are not allowed to scrutinize the contracts. So the the players and the personnel, they can completely operate outside of any supervision of the colleges, right? They and now also another thing too about NIL is they can hire agent, and agents don't even have to be certified. Now in the NFL, agents have to max off. The agents receive a max percentage of 3%, right? So when if a player gets a new contract, 3% is what they can charge. They also have to take a legal test, and they have to be certified and registered with the NFL. You just can't go get your mom or dad to be your agent. If your mom and dad's your agent, they have to be legally affiliated with the NFL, take a test, and hey, 3%, right? But in college, nope. These kids can completely operate on their own. They can sign contracts. They can be contacted via social media, email, whatever, and they can sign the contract. Don't even read the fine print and literally be owned by, um, you know, some organization or something, right? And then another thing, like Nick Saban was saying too, is that like when they have a exit at the end of the season, when they have an exit meeting, right, with all of the players before they leave, the coaches are telling them, hey man, you can do better next year by getting in the weight room, studying more, getting stronger, faster. Instead of them wanting to hit that right, these players are asking Nick Saban, hey, and asking other coaches, because Nick Saban said it, hey, am I going to start next year? Or how much money can I make next year? If not, I'm going to transfer and hit the transfer pro. That's what they're doing. They're not even caring about getting better. They're just caring about getting rich or getting money and playing, right? They're not caring about getting better. And I don't give a care who you are. If you're not going to get better at your craft, then transfer. But when you go to another school, there's going to be someone better than you that's more dedicated to his craft. He or she is going to be more dedicated to their craft, and you're going to get outworked, and you're not going to start, right? And so you have a potential, if you're good enough, you're going to make way more money in the NFL or the NBA or in the Olympics or whatever. Um, Playing there, right? Playing professionally, then you'll make for NIL anyways. Now I know there's some outliers like Angela Reese and Kayla Williams. I think Kayla Williams made over $10 million, right? Archie Manning is apparently makes a lot of money. Quentin Ewers, but Quentin Ewers is projected to be a first round draft pick quarterback, right? Caleb Williams is going to go first overall to the Chicago Bears. That contract is already going to be double what Caleb Williams made all time in college, right? So Caleb Williams is in a good position. But what I'm saying is that get better. Listen to what the coaches are saying. Build some resiliency. Don't let the money cloud your judgment. And I understand, like, hey, some people come from shit, right? I had nothing, right? Coming up, right? I had nothing. And I've not made $10 million in my life, right? I've not made a million. I probably made $1 million in my life overall, right? Since I've been working for 20 plus years, if you add it all up, maybe. But at one given time, I don't have $1 million in my bank account, right? And I've never seen $1 million in my bank account. But what I'm saying is, um, you know, the money is the root of all evil. And the fact that NIL is pretty much ruining the college landscape because either one, players are being robbed and scammed, and two, players are just not wanting to be loyal. They just want to go to whatever team is going to wait. Well, teams teams can't pay a player. The collectives have to pay the players. Is alums and businessmen and women that want to do business with these players and say, hey man, if you come play for Auburn, we're a car dealership, we'll give you X, Y, and Z, right? But um these kids are pretty much hopping all around just to try to see where they can get the next NIL deal, right? Now there's some there was an article I was reading about the kid Junkins, right? Quinshawn Junkins, I think. Maybe I'm saying his name wrong. He was a running back from Ole Miss, right? And they said that last season he held out at least 3 times. He threatened to hold out. Sorry, he threatened to hold out at least 3 times because he wanted to get paid more NIL money on 3 separate occasions, right? And apparently there was a rumor that Ole Miss had to play in a bowl game and a part of uh community service for the bowl game. They had to go to a children's hospital, and the kid pretty much was like, "Nope, I'm not going to show up to volunteer unless I'm getting paid more money or some shit like that," right? Um, and I don't know how true that is, but if that is true, man, what the hell, man? If that's true, and I know for a fact that Keyshawn Butte, he did the same thing to LSU. When NIL finally came online, obviously they paid him because at the time he was projected to be the best player on the team, although he was terrible. And um, you know, rumors instantly started flying that he was thinking about going to Alabama, right? So LSU paid him. So LSU paid him a second time because like he got paid first and then he wanted more money. So then he started putting it out there that he was probably going to go to Alabama, and LSU paid him again, and he did not produce anything for us. I think he had maybe 1 or 2 touchdowns. He was terrible. He pretty much ran off on the plug on LSU uh twice. And so um people like, I mean, players like Keyshawn Butte and the kid Junkins have, show that they're greedy, right? They just show that, hey, I don't give a care about the team. I don't give a care about my teammates. I don't care about getting better. I just want the money. Now, personally, what I think should happen, and again, this is my opinion, I think they should blow it all up. I think lawmakers should step in. As you've seen, Nick Saban was on Capitol Hill speaking to lawmakers, right? He had Ted Cruz next to him. And I think they should blow it all up, right? I think so. Lawmakers are the ones that said, hey, these players can make money off their name, image, and likeness. But I think they should blow it all up. I think they should blow it all up, and I think the players should receive contracts. And what I mean by contracts is if you go to LSU, right, you should get a contract. And I think so. Correct me if I'm wrong, but colleges, Division 1 colleges like LSU, Alabama, Auburn, right, are allowed to carry 85 scholarship players. You can play. You can pay every player on the team $50,000. If you do the math right, if you pay them $50,000 for a whole season, 85 players, that's it comes out to like $4.2 million. A team like LSU makes more than that for the whole season, right? They can pay all 85 of their players $50,000 for one season, right? Now, for 4 seasons, if they play 4 seasons, most players, if they're really good, are not going to stay for 4 seasons. But let's say they play for 4 seasons. That's $200,000, right? That you're paying them. They're under contract um to stay there, right? They still can be able to make money with the name, image, and likeness. But there needs to be a third party or the school or someone, a law firm or someone to scrutinize these contracts, right? To scrutinize these contracts to make sure that these kids are not being scammed and just pretty much ripped off, right? So yes, still allow them to make money off their name, image, and likeness. But they also still have a contract. It says, hey man, you signed this contract, so you belong to this team. You're playing for this team at least you're playing for this team for for 4 years or however many years, right? But it has to be a contract. You can't just be like, hey, I'm done. I'm holding out. I'm not gonna play in the bowl game. I'm transferring if you don't give me more money. Now, I do understand that again, players come from they don't come from the best backgrounds, right? But it is not it's not the football team's responsibility to, take care of your family, right? It's not, right? But $50,000 is a pretty good amount of money for a teenager for one season. And for 4 seasons, like I said, that's $200,000. I mean, and if you're sorry, I'm that's yeah, that's $200,000. Um, yeah, it's $200,000. Why the hell I'm drawing a blank? That's $200,000. 50,000 per season, right? And if you're on a full scholarship, they're already paying for everything. So that's pretty good. $50,000 for a season for a few games. Room and board is paid for. Your own scholarship. You're doing pretty good. You can help your family out with $50,000, and you can definitely help them out with $200,000 for 4 years, and plus what you'll make off your NIL deals with business. Well, from jersey sales and autographs and all of those things, right? As long as there's some type of sanctioning body, some type of governing body, some type of guardrails to look at these contracts and make sure that these kids are not getting destroyed and not having to give 20-40% of all future earnings or something like that, right? And obviously, we can get way more details in what we can do to make this better, but that's just some things that I was thinking about, some things that I thought that maybe we could do. All right, that's it for me. Let me know what y'all think about NIL. Is it ruining the college landscape? Do you care? Do you not care? Also, please consider leaving a like. Please consider commenting, and definitely please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification button so you can stay up to date with all of the latest releases, right? Again, I appreciate everyone who's helped make the channel what it is so far. And until next time, I'm out.